Alright, what's up YouTube? Absolute here with a update on my snow build slash blue Pede. It's definitely been a minute since I have posted an update, and apologize about that. A lot going on in the old life, and things like that too as well. So big changes going on, and so I hadn't really had much time for the hobby, but I kind of buckled down here in the last couple days, last 2 days or so, just got to work. And I guess this is almost not really an update as much as it is it's basically completed. I got some tires to glue up and bodies and things like that, but take a show for you guys. I think last time I showed you was pretty much done. It's main chassis anyways. Now it's completely done. Take you guys on a trip. You see I took my big bores off and replaced the colors accordingly. For this one, on my other Stampede, I ended up putting some big old low C shocks, as you see here, from a 10T or 10 SCTE. So I ended up using big bores for this one. I've actually got a good comparison now on drive on the two of them, and I must say that big bores are just fine. I think they're really good shocks. These personally here have been abused to shit, and I think they're definitely good shocks. So I went with blue and then with some white. A multiple color I think is a cool combination, and that's what I did here. Especially it being snow, Pede, and all that good stuff. I think it was a nice little accent, I guess, if you will. I got some white RPM links, as shown here. They come in short or long as well, and then so I got some for here, of course. In regards to what I use in regards to sizes of steel links for the Pro Track kit, I actually did not use stock sizes, although you can switch those around and use them. I actually went and used a little bit longer. I'm going to quickly show you guys the part numbers. These are for the turnbuckles, the 3941. These are for the fronts, 5539, and for the rears, 3645. Actually, I'm sorry, excuse me, the longer ones, 3645 is for the front because I use short rod links, and the backs are 5539. If you're doing a Pro Track kit and you want to use steel links, you can actually just do 3941 and two 5539s. That's going to go ahead and work out for you. Any more questions, just ask me down below. Going back, of course, like my other trucks, if you guys have seen my NOS bottle, and then on my other video, I showed you guys I had installed my high-tech servo. And I figured my family would be driving it a lot, but turns out that I just figured I'd get it done and get it ready for the winter instead of having to take it apart again. And this is a high-tech 5646, I believe. Metal Gear waterproof servo from High-Tech. It's not super fast, not super torquey, but it is metal geared. And it is better definitely than the Traxxas 2076. And so that's definitely something I just figured I'd install. I noticed that they didn't really have, I mentioned this in my other video, that I wanted to put the other one first in case the ears broke off of it and you could just replace the case. I saw that this wasn't really available for sale. So what I did was I installed these HR, basically servo ear savers. They do help with breakage. If the whole thing, it's a really nasty impact and the whole thing breaks, then they're not going to really do much, but they actually do help. And so they're clamped on there really good. It shouldn't come off. And plus I'm not going to be bashing this thing to the extreme under these conditions anyways. Under here we have a Racer's Edge servo saver. When and if I break this one, then I'll go ahead and use Kimburo. I just had it in stock, and it matches the high-tech teeth. You can see underneath here the RPM chassis saver, and then screwing on the NOS bottle, how that's all held in place. You can see how that's held in place. So of course that's obviously not going anywhere. I could pick up the truck by it, no big deal. Show you guys, it's going to be a winter Pede, and although I mean I've done this on my other truck as well, I like when it comes to doing a winter Pede, instead of the open Stampede skid plates, this is much better flow. So when it rides over snow, it'll ride more like a sled instead of having the holes and getting stuck on the snow, kind of, if you will. It's kind of move the light there, as you guys can see. So instead of over water, over snow or whatever, that's just going to kind of glide over versus it getting stuck, especially right there. Underneath this rear RPM chassis, I have a Proline servo or chassis saver. I typically will, what I do is I knock off that back plate in half and then I screw it in and then bolt it down. This one I was actually able to not have to do that. I was actually able to just screw it in there, and it kind of sits right on the side. It kind of screwed in nicely, and reason for that is you could see I was able to preserve. Get you guys some light here. I was able to preserve my rear wall, and the reason for that is because of snow. I don't want snow entering in there. I got wiring going on in there. The servo wire does run down the middle. It's covered, and then it runs down in there. I connect it with an extension. I essentially, from the high-tech colors, which are yellow, red, and black, I added an extension. I've done this to all of them, and you can see there the two variances. Futaba and JR, I believe, is what they're named for those two different types. And I had an extension. I wire it through. I waterproof that extension, essentially. It sits down in that nifty little space back there, which used to be used for a servo for the mechanical speed control on these Stampedes. But that design was never really changed. There we go. We could see there. And then what I did was, instead of using this Traxxas extensions, I used my own axial 6mm ones at a 15mm. That way the bodies can sit lower. Plus I can still fit the 2 and 3 cell batteries in there. The ones that I run, you can see here. That one I had the wire, but you can see here. It's pretty much identical to the Traxxas ones. But you can see these are axials, 6mm versus the Traxxas ones are 15mm that come with this post here. So I still pick up the kit. I still use the posts. Wish I could buy those by themselves. Still should look into that. And then I use my own axial ones. Moving on up, of course, my first time I bought a Valenion out of the box. I have another Valenion motor on my Lady Stampede, and this is the first time that I purchased one out of the box, I guess, if you will. And so, the wires are really long back here. As you guys have seen, this comes in yellow. Instead of doing that, I covered that one with black, so it's white, blue, and black. This comes really, really long. These Valenion motors have huge wiring. Even braiding it's still super long. So what I'll do is I'll shorten that up. I just didn't have any bullet connectors that are 3.5mm on me. I have a bunch of 4s. I didn't have any 3.5s, and I guess I'll just run with that since this is really too short to shorten that up a little bit too. So I'll run 3.5mm, and then I will shorten that up significantly so that there's not this big old wiring. So it's a lot cleaner. Running from the back, of course, they got your Stampede or / 4x4 heavy-duty shafts, Traxxas carriers on front and back, along with Traxxas caster blocks, and then STRC aluminum wheel hexes. Replaced those inside too with some stainless steel little grub screws in there. With this truck, everything that I pretty much could and would do stainless steel I did. So for example, all the screws that come in that box, I typically leave those black. In this case, I use stainless steel. Why? Because it's going to be running in water, and those black oxide screws rust very easily. With the exception of course, the STRC ones, which don't come like that, and also these two here, which stainless steel I have found to be too weak to be there. So the black oxide ones work much better there. So I use those there. What I'll do is I'll dab them with a little bit of oil to prevent them from rusting, but at least I only have to do a couple versus having to do a lot more. Everything else I did with stainless steel as I could, except for also those 4 screws as well. Those are replaceable, no big deal. If they rust out, it's not a big deal. As well, and of course these two as well, which don't come in stainless steel. Traxxas upgraded wheelie bar wheels, nice and clean and matching. RPM mount, you can see the modifications there to get it to sit straight. If you guys have any issues where you mount this RPM wheelie bar or bumper holder and you get it crooked, this is how you fix that. Essentially, you take as much as the width of that from that location there. So I'll give you guys a look. Get any questions, hit me up down below. But that is how you fix that, and that's how you get the wheelie bar wheels or mount to stay straight. So if you guys have any questions with that, let me know. RPM guard. I did this one so that it was, of course it's waterproof. Or not waterproof, sealed. Where the Traxxas stock one has a slit in it and is open. These RPM ones are sealed. and so that'll definitely help with keeping water out. And yeah, and then of course here there's the two big black and red wiring. I went ahead and wire braided those. And of course the front, my own battery holders that I made on my trucks, and kind of my signature. Also up front, on the front shock tower, I of course got the carbon fiber piece. I think I mentioned in the previous video I went into why I do that and how well it works, which I found to work extremely well. It's in a previous video going into more information, but essentially it's a rear brace for a low C XXX SCT that I mount on the front shock tower, and it does wonders with keeping that thing steady because there's a weak point on the top brake there. Of course, STRC aluminum bulkhead. They did not have a tie bar in blue aluminum. And silver wasn't really. I mean, I might do it, might not. No big deal. And so I just went with a stock one and put the sticker on there too as well. Only piece that is not on here, and you guys can kind of see the kind of blue accents that I have here on the RPM bumper. Only thing that I let's see, lost my train of thought here. The only thing I don't have mounted on here is the rear body mount, and I'm still deciding what to do with that. It's actually sitting right here. However, I'm not really sure if I'm going to add that one on because the body won't sit lower, or an RPM one. I actually really like the Monster Jam front body mounts. I like those a lot, as a matter of fact, and I actually replaced an RPM one on my truck with that one. Well, my other truck. But the rear one, the other ones don't sit so low. I'm also probably not going to be installing a fan on this Valenion system, and reason why is going to be running in the winter. I can gear it high and get away with it because it's so cold outside. I found that essentially when I do my running in my trucks, again, this is specific to my trucks and the weight and two-wheel drive, etc., that with a Momax Pro and a Tiken Pro 4, that 20 degrees lets me run every 2 teeth on the pinion. So, I mean, that's a big difference gearing wise. And so if it's 80 degrees outside, I can run 1754 on my Stampede. If it's 50 or 1554, if it's 60 degrees, then I can run 1754, for example. So I can bump it up. That being said, with this one, I know that Valenion could use that fan like all ESCs can. But if it's going to be running in the winter, it's not going to be a big problem at all. Actually, you get other issues. You get issues of plastic being too brittle and breaking if it's too cold. And so hopefully I'll get some good snow here, because here in Utah, it looks like it's not snowing like it used to back in the day. One thing I wanted to show you guys before I do so, actually, let's do this. Let's go over this truck, and we'll kind of show you guys similarities of, for those who haven't seen it, my other trucks, my other Stampede 2-wheel drives. This is my main one. This is the one is pretty much my main one, my favorite one. But you can see the similarities in my design. Something I found that works extremely well. This thing is a tank, and it hauls ass, and it blows people away in the neighborhood. And at this build with these upgrades, it is definitely one of the best basher RCs on the market, straight up. This thing is a monster, and it is tough as shit. And so, yeah, it's badass. That's my main one, of course. This is going to be my second one now. And this one is Lady Stampede, built for a girl. But again, you can kind of see extension cord. You can kind of see, the similarities in the two trucks. With the design, again, of course, I kind of found that works really well for me. This one, both the pink truck and the red truck have aluminum tie bars. And then you're looking at a lot of the same setups. Electronics are different on all three. It's kind of a flavor on each one too as well. I get a really good comparison of each system and how they compare to each other. So that's pretty cool. When I run the Valenion, I get a really good comparison of the three. This one has a Valenion motor stripped down from its blue to silver, as you can see back here. But then it's running a Sidewinder SV2 speed control with an HR fan. HR is hot racing, by the way, versus the Valenion speed control. But again, you got that same battery brace, you got that same clean wiring as you do in the other trucks, as you can see here too as well. So kind of keep that uniform, and I definitely go a lot on these, as you guys can see too as well. One thing I want to show you guys, if you're looking to do a build like this, then one thing you're going to find is it costs money for sure. And it's probably why my hobby shop loves me so much, and that's cool. I'd rather keep the money locally as I can, as much of it as possible. And there's actually a benefit I'll show you guys here. But this is the tags since I started building this Stampede. I have like 5 bags of these completely full. These are all the tags of the Stampede here. These are not all to the Stampede. There are some stuff I bought extra, like screws and things of that nature. But I'd say about 90-95% of these tags do belong to this blue Stampede. You can see just how ridiculous it is. I mean, if I pull out a small section, you can see how many of them are crammed in there, and they're packed this shit in there too. How much did it all cost? I'm sorry guys, I don't care to calculate and find out. I think it's money well spent, and I don't really care to add it up. I actually don't even want to know. I'm still in denial, I guess, if you will, with how much I do spend on this, but hey, it's all good. That being said, one thing that I did get, you guys may have seen this before somewhere on some of our Proline's pictures and things like that. This is one thing, or a hobby shop, this is one thing won't see on anybody else's videos, anybody else's home, or nothing like that. I promise you that. Big old Proline license plate, which I had to do some serious persisting to get, but my hobby shop hooked it up because I do spend so much damn money in there. And I am, according to them, according to Proline's representative, the only person in the nation that is not a hobby shop that owns one of these, because a lot of them had one dispersed to them, and that's it. Besides that, I'm the only person that is not a local authorized Proline retailer and a full-blown hobby shop that has one of these. It definitely matches my workspace hella well, and so that thing is gonna get hung up for days. But I want to definitely show you guys that, so this thing is badass. That being said, questions, comments, leave them down below. Hit the like button if you will. In the meantime, catch you guys later.